You're no daughter of mine if you'd stoop to stealing from your own blood. The words hit like a freight train, each syllable a bullet tearing through Lila Bennett's chest. She stands in the center of the penthouse, 73 stories above Manhattan, where the marble floors gleam like ice and the floor-to-ceiling windows frame the city like a portrait of everything she's about to lose. Her father's voice echoes off the walls, cold and final, the kind of tone that severs ties and burns bridges in a single breath. Lila is 23 years old, green eyes that could cut glass, a jawline sharp enough to intimidate boardrooms. She's spent her entire life being groomed for this empire, taught to shake hands like a warrior and smile like a queen. But right now, in this moment, she's just a daughter watching her father choose someone else. Tara stands 5 feet away, her lips curled into a smirk so subtle it could be mistaken for concern. She's 20, younger by 3 years, adopted into the Bennett family when Lila was 7. Dark hair, doe eyes, a face that screams innocence even when her words drip venom. She clutches a tissue in her manicured hands, playing the victim like she was born for the role. The necklace. A $10 million family heirloom. Diamonds the size of teardrops strung together on platinum, passed down through 4 generations of Bennett women. It sat in the family vault, untouched, sacred, until yesterday, when it vanished. And Tara pointed her finger straight at Lila. Victor Bennett, 62, 6 feet tall, with silver hair slicked back and a Rolex that costs more than most people's houses, doesn't even look at Lila when he speaks. He's already made up his mind. His daughter, his blood, accused by the girl he took in out of charity. And somehow, charity won. I trusted you, he says, his voice low and lethal. I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me. Lila's hands shake. Her throat tightens. She wants to scream, to grab him by the shoulders and shake the truth into him, but the words won't come. Because part of her, the part that's been competing with Tara for 20 years, knows this was always coming. The rivalry started small, toys shared but never equally. Birthdays celebrated but never the same. Tara always had a way of making Lila look selfish, careless, privileged. Little comments dropped like grenades at dinner parties. Remember when Lila forgot your recital, Dad? Remember when she said I wasn't really family? Lies. All of it. But lies told sweetly enough become truth. Outside, the paparazzi are swarming. 30 photographers, maybe more, camped on the sidewalk like vultures circling a carcass. Their cameras flash against the windows, turning the penthouse into a fishbowl. Someone tipped them off. Someone wanted this public, wanted the humiliation broadcasted across every tabloid in the city. Lila doesn't have to guess who. The headlines write themselves. Trust fund princess turned thief. Billionaire heiress steals family jewels. The Bennett name, untouchable for decades, dragged through the mud in a single morning. Get out, Victor says, turning his back on her. You have 1 hour to pack your things. After that, security will escort you from the building. Your credit cards are canceled. Your trust fund is frozen. You're on your own. Tara's smirk widens just a fraction. Lila catches it, that flash of triumph, and something inside her snaps. She doesn't beg, doesn't cry. She walks to her room with her head high, even as her heart shatters into 1,000 jagged pieces. The hallway stretches forever, each step echoing like a countdown. Her bedroom door closes behind her, and only then does she let herself breathe. The room is massive. King-sized bed with silk sheets, a walk-in closet bigger than most apartments, art on the walls worth 6 figures. All of it meaningless now. She starts packing mechanically. Clothes, laptop, photos. Her hands move on autopilot while her mind races. There has to be a way to prove her innocence. There has to be something Tara missed. That's when she sees it. A folded piece of paper on Tara's vanity, visible through the open adjoining door. The door Tara always keeps locked. But today, in her rush to play victim, she left it cracked open. Lila crosses the threshold like a burglar in her own home. Her pulse hammers in her ears. The note sits there, cream-colored stationery with Tara's looping handwriting. The necklace is gone. She's done. 5 words. That's all it takes. Lila reads it 3 times, her brain struggling to process the implications. The necklace is gone. Not stolen. Gone. As if Tara knew exactly where it went. As if she planned this from the start. Rage floods through Lila's veins, hot and sharp and clarifying. This wasn't opportunistic. This was calculated. Tara didn't just accuse her. She orchestrated the entire thing, planted the seeds, tipped off the press, convinced their father. She turned Lila's life into a crime scene and walked away clean. But she made one mistake. She left evidence. Lila clutches the note, her knuckles white, her breathing sharp. The city sprawls outside her window, a million lights in the gathering dusk. Somewhere down there, Tara thinks she's won. Thinks she's untouchable. Thinks Lila will crumble under the weight of this humiliation and disappear. She's wrong. Lila's reflection stares back at her from the window glass. Hair disheveled, mascara smudged, but her eyes are clear now, sharp with purpose. She folds the note carefully and slips it into her pocket. You picked the wrong sister to mess with, she whispers to the empty room. The war has just begun. The Brooklyn apartment smells like mildew and broken dreams. 600 square feet on the 4th floor of a walk-up, no elevator, radiator clanking like it's got a death wish. Lila Bennett traded silk sheets for a futon that sags in the middle, designer heels for secondhand sneakers with holes in the soles. 3 weeks since her father kicked her out. 3 weeks of radio silence from everyone she thought was family. 3 weeks of watching her face plastered across every gossip site in America, branded a thief, a disgrace, a cautionary tale about privilege gone wrong. But Lila's not broken. Bruised, maybe. Bent, definitely, but not broken. She sits cross-legged on the floor, laptop balanced on her knees, scrolling through every article, every comment, every shred of information she can find about Tara. There has to be something. A trail. A mistake. Nobody's that careful. That's when her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She almost ignores it, but something makes her answer. Jake's voice comes through rough and familiar. You still trying to prove you're innocent? Or you ready to admit you're screwed? Jake Bennett, her cousin, 28 years old, leather jacket, perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, and a genius-level IQ he uses to hack into systems most people don't know exist. Victor disowned him 5 years ago after Jake exposed some shady real estate deals that would have landed the family in federal court. He warned them. They chose reputation over truth. Sound familiar? Lila meets him 2 hours later at his apartment in Bushwick. It's exactly what she expected. Monitors everywhere, at least 6 of them, all glowing with code and data streams she can't begin to understand. Red Bull cans stacked like a modern art installation. The smell of coffee and cigarettes, and someone who hasn't slept in 3 days. Jake looks her up and down, taking in the cheap jeans and the exhaustion etched into her face. You look like hell, he says, not unkindly. I've had better weeks, she shoots back. He smirks, pulls out a chair. Sit. Let's see what your psycho sister's been up to. His fingers fly across the keyboard, a blur of motion that feels almost violent. Within minutes, he's inside Tara's phone. Texts, emails, photos. The digital breadcrumbs of a girl who thought she was untouchable. And there it is. Messages between Tara and someone named Marco. Timestamps from 2 days before the necklace disappeared. Negotiations, prices, an address in Red Hook. Marco Vitelli, art dealer, Jake says, pulling up a profile. More like a fence. Deals in stolen goods, high-end pieces that disappear from estates and show up in private collections overseas. Your necklace went to him for $8 million. $2 million less than it's worth, Lila whispers, her heart pounding. She needed cash fast. Jake leans back, cracking his knuckles. Your dad's not clean either, Lila. This family's a snake pit, always has been. The words sting because they're true. But right now, she needs evidence more than she needs emotional support. They stake out Marco's warehouse the next night. It's raining, the kind of cold November rain that soaks through your jacket and turns the streets into rivers of gray. The warehouse sits by the waterfront, rusted metal and broken windows, the kind of place where bad things happen and nobody asks questions. Jake's got a camera with a telephoto lens. Lila's got binoculars and a death grip on her nerves. They wait in Jake's beat-up Honda, engine off, condensation fogging the windows. That's when Tara steps out of a black SUV. Lila's breath catches. Her sister looks perfect, as always. Designer coat, stiletto boots, hair blown out like she's on her way to a photo shoot. She walks into the warehouse like she owns it, and maybe, in a way, she does. We need to get closer, Lila says. Jake grabs her arm. Bad idea. But she's already out of the car, rain instantly soaking her hair, her sneakers splashing through puddles. She makes it to the side of the building, presses herself against the wall, peers through a grimy window. Inside, Tara's talking to a man in an expensive suit. Marco, probably. They're arguing. Tara gestures sharply, her face twisted with anger. The man shakes his head. And then Tara turns. Looks right at the window. Right at Leela. Her smile spreads slow and venomous. She says something to Marco, points toward the door, and suddenly there are men moving, big guys in dark jackets, and Lila's running. Jake's already got the car started when she dives into the passenger seat. Go, 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 she shouts, and he floors it. The SUV follows. Tires screaming on wet pavement, neon lights from storefronts blurring past in streaks of red and blue and green. Jake takes a hard left onto Flatbush, weaving through traffic, cutting off a taxi that lays on the horn. Lila's thrown against the door, her heart hammering so hard she thinks it might explode. Tara's voice echoes in her head from when their eyes met through that window. You're out of your league, princess. But Lila had fired back, even knowing Tara couldn't hear her. At least I don't need to steal to feel relevant. They lose the SUV somewhere near Prospect Park. Jake pulls into an alley, kills the engine, and they sit there breathing hard, rain drumming on the roof like 1,000 tiny fists. Back at his apartment, Jake pulls up Tara's cloud storage, scrolls through photos, and there it is. Tara wearing the necklace, diamonds catching the light, taken 3 days after it supposedly went missing. Proof. Undeniable proof. Jake's cursor hovers over the download button. The file deletes before his eyes. Someone's watching, he says quietly. Someone with access to everything. Lila stares at the screen, watching her evidence evaporate like smoke. How is that possible? Jake doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is careful. There's something you need to know. I've been feeding information to the Castellanos, rival family. They've wanted to take your father down for years. Lila's blood turns to ice. You're using me. I'm using the situation, he corrects. But yeah, maybe you too. The betrayal lands like a punch. Her father, her sister, now her only ally. Everyone in her life is playing a game, and she's just a piece on the board. But here's the thing about Lila Bennett, she learns fast. If everyone's playing dirty, she thinks, then maybe it's time I do too. The war just got personal. The annual Bennett Foundation Gala is a spectacle of excess. Crystal chandeliers dripping light like liquid diamonds, a jazz quartet playing smooth and sultry in the corner. 300 people in tuxedos and evening gowns, sipping champagne that costs more per bottle than most people make in a week. And Lila Bennett, uninvited, slipping through the service entrance like a ghost. She borrowed a catering uniform from Jake's contact. Black slacks, white button down, hair pulled back tight. Nobody looks at the help. That's the secret of the wealthy. The people serving them are invisible. She moves through the crowd with a tray of champagne flutes, head down, heart hammering against her ribs. The penthouse looks exactly the same. Marble floors, art worth millions on every wall. The view of Manhattan glittering 73 stories below. She catches sight of Tara across the room, wearing a blood-red dress that probably costs more than Lila's entire wardrobe now. Her sister is laughing with a group of investors, playing the role of doting daughter, the girl who saved the family from a thief. Lila's jaw clenches so hard her teeth ache. She slips down the hallway toward her father's office. The door is locked, but she knows the code. Some things don't change, even when everything else does. The lock clicks open, and she's inside. Victor's office smells like leather and old money. Mahogany desk, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a painting of her grandmother hanging on the wall, watching with stern eyes. And behind that painting, the safe. Lila's hands shake as she removes the frame, her father's birthday backwards. She's known the combination since she was 16, memorized it one night when she couldn't sleep and watched him open it through a crack in the door. The safe swings open. The necklace sits there, coiled like a snake. $10 million in diamonds, supposedly stolen, supposedly sold. But here it is, untouched, exactly where it's always been. Her breath catches. Proof. Finally. But then she sees the documents underneath. Files, legal papers, birth certificates. Her hands move on autopilot, pulling them out, scanning the words that reshape her entire reality. Tara Moretti, daughter of Dominic Moretti. The name hits like a sledgehammer. Moretti, the rival family that's been trying to destroy the Bennetts for 2 decades. real estate wars, corporate sabotage, a blood feud disguised as business. Tara isn't some orphan Victor took in out of kindness. She's a plant, a weapon, placed in their home when she was 7 years old, raised as a Bennett, all while serving the family that wants them destroyed. And the next document makes it worse. An agreement, signed by Victor, acknowledging Tara's true parentage, agreeing to use her presence to control Lila, to keep his daughter dependent, manageable, under his thumb. He knew. The entire time he knew. Lila's vision blurs. Her hands crumple the papers. Everything she believed about her family, about her childhood, about the sister she tried so hard to love despite everything, it's all a lie built on lies, built on more lies. The office door opens. Victor stands there, still in his tuxedo, a glass of scotch in his hand. His face shows no surprise, like he's been expecting this. "Reading my mail, Lila?" he asks, voice cold as January. She holds up the documents. "You let her frame me. You let her destroy my life just to keep me in line?" He steps inside, closes the door. The muffled sound of jazz and laughter seeps through the walls. "You were getting too big for your boots," he says simply. "Too independent. Too willing to question my decisions. I needed you humbled." The words land like punches, each one stripping away another layer of the relationship she thought they had. "So you sacrificed me," she whispers. "Your own daughter." "I was teaching you a lesson," he corrects. "About loyalty, about understanding your place in this family." Lila's rage burns white hot. This isn't a family, it's a prison. The door slams open again. Tara stands there, still in that red dress, but her face is twisted now, the mask slipping. She's heard everything. "A pawn," she hisses, looking at Victor. "That's all I've ever been to you? A tool to control her?" Victor's jaw tightens. "Tara, this isn't the time." But Tara's pulling something from her clutch. A switchblade, small but deadly, catching the light as it flicks open. "I'm done being anyone's puppet," she snarls. Done pretending. Done playing the grateful little orphan. She moves fast. Lila barely has time to react before Tara's on her, the blade flashing. Lila throws up her arm, feels the sting as metal cuts through skin, warm blood instantly soaking through her sleeve. Victor shouts something, reaches for Tara. But Lila's already moving, shouldering past both of them, out the door, down the hallway. The gala is still in full swing. Nobody notices the girl in the catering uniform bleeding through her shirt, weaving through the crowd, making for the exit. Jake's waiting outside in the Honda, engine running. She throws herself into the passenger seat, and he peels out before she's even closed the door. "Let me see," he says once they're 6 blocks away, parked under a broken streetlight. He tears fabric, presses gauze to the cut, wraps it tight with practiced efficiency. "It's not deep. You'll live." "My father knew," Lila says, her voice hollow. "He knew everything. Used both of us like chess pieces." Jake's expression is unreadable. Welcome to the Bennett family playbook. She looks at him, really looks at him, and sees something in his eyes she doesn't like. Something calculating. "I'm not your knight, Lila," he says quietly. "I've got my own score to settle with Victor. Don't forget that." Another betrayal. Another reminder that everyone wants something. But here's what Jake doesn't know. What Victor doesn't know. What Tara definitely doesn't know. Lila Bennett isn't playing defense anymore. She's got the documents. She's got the proof. And she's got nothing left to lose. The game just changed. The Manhattan Criminal Court building stands like a monument to justice. Stone columns, American flags snapping in the November wind. News vans lined up like soldiers, satellite dishes pointed at the sky, everyone waiting for blood. Inside, Courtroom 7B is packed to capacity, every seat filled. Reporters pressed against the back wall, the air thick with anticipation and expensive perfume. Riley Chen stands at the defense table, 30 years old, Brooklyn accent sharp as a knife, wearing a charcoal suit that means business. She came to Lila 2 weeks ago, offering her services pro bono. A lawyer who specialized in taking down powerful families. An underdog champion with a reputation for winning impossible cases. Lila didn't ask too many questions. She needed someone who believed her. Now, sitting at that table, hands folded, wearing a simple navy dress and the only jewelry she has left, a silver watch from her mother, Lila looks nothing like the trust fund princess the tabloids destroyed. She looks like someone who's been through hell and came out the other side carrying the fire. Tara sits across the aisle with her own legal team, 3 lawyers in $1,000 suits. She's playing the victim perfectly, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, wearing a cream-colored dress that screams innocence. The judge, a gray-haired woman named Judith Reeves, calls the court to order. The gavel strikes, and the circus begins. Tara takes the stand first. Her voice trembles as she spins her story. How she was adopted at 7, how she always felt like an outsider, how Lila resented her, made her feel unwelcome, and finally framed her for the theft to get rid of her. It's a masterclass in manipulation. Half the courtroom looks ready to cry for her. Then Riley stands up for cross-examination. "Miss Bennett," Riley says, her accent cutting through the courtroom's hush. "You testified that Lila resented you. But isn't it true you were messaging Marco Vitelli about selling the necklace 2 days before it went missing?" "Objection," Tara's lawyer barks. "Speculation." "Sustained," the judge says, but her eyes narrow with interest. Riley doesn't miss a beat. She pulls out Jake's evidence. Bank records, text messages, timestamps that don't lie. The courtroom erupts in whispers. Tara's composure cracks. Just a hairline fracture, but it's there. Then Lila takes the stand. She walks up with her head high, places her hand on the Bible, swears to tell the truth, and when she speaks, her voice is steady as steel. "I'm not the thief," she says, looking right at the jury. "My family stole my future. My father and my sister conspired to frame me, to control me, to teach me a lesson about obedience. But I'm done being controlled." The courtroom is silent. You could hear a pin drop on that marble floor. Riley walks her through the evidence. The documents from Victor's safe, Tara's true identity as Dominic Moretti's daughter, the orchestrated setup, the media campaign, every piece of the puzzle laid out for the jury to see. Then Jake takes the stand. He's cleaned up for court, leather jacket replaced with a button-down. But his attitude is the same. Sharp, uncompromising, angry. He exposes everything. Victor's financial crimes, the offshore accounts, the real estate fraud, the hush money paid to keep scandals buried. And the blackmail, the leverage Tara's been holding over Victor for years, forcing him to play along with her schemes. The prosecution tries to discredit him, a disgraced family member with an axe to grind. But the evidence speaks louder than their objections. Bank transfers, email chains, digital footprints that can't be erased. Victor Bennett sits in the gallery, watching his empire crumble in real time. That's when Tara snaps. She stands up, her chair screeching against the floor. "You want the truth?" she shouts, her voice raw. Victor orchestrated the whole thing. He wanted to teach his precious daughter a lesson. Wanted to keep her dependent. I was just the weapon he used. The courtroom explodes. The judge hammers her gavel. "Order, order." But Tara's not done. She points at Victor, her face twisted with years of rage. "I've been his puppet since I was 7 years old, planted in his house, raised to destroy Lila. And when I wanted out, he threatened to expose me, to send me back to my real father with nothing." Victor stands, his face ashen. "Tara, stop." But she won't. Can't. The dam has broken, and everything comes flooding out. Victor's voice cracks when he finally speaks. "I wanted to keep her close," he says, barely audible. "I was terrified of losing her, of her becoming independent and leaving me behind. So I thought if I humbled her, if I made her need me again, she'd stay. It's the confession that seals everything." The judge orders both Victor and Tara detained pending further investigation. Court officers move forward. That's when Tara reaches into her purse. The gun appears so fast most people don't register it at first. Small, black, pointed at the judge, then at Victor, then sweeping across the courtroom. Screaming. Chaos. People diving under benches. "You all destroyed me," Tara screams. "Every single one of you." But the court officers are trained for this. 2 of them tackle her from behind. The gun discharges into the ceiling, plaster raining down, and then she's on the ground, handcuffed, sobbing. The courtroom is a war zone. Reporters shouting into phones. The judge evacuated. Lila standing frozen at the defense table, Riley's hand on her shoulder. And then, in the aftermath, Riley speaks quietly, just to Lila, almost too quiet to hear over the chaos. "I should tell you something. I'm Tara's biological cousin, Moretti blood. I took this case to finish what my family started, to destroy the Bennetts completely. Lila stares at her. Betrayal number what? She's lost count. But Riley keeps talking. I was supposed to throw the case, let you burn. But watching this, seeing what they did to you, I couldn't. You deserve the truth. You deserve justice. Guess betrayal's the family business, Lila says, her voice hollow. Riley doesn't argue. 2 hours later, after statements and chaos and police reports, Judge Reeves reconvenes in chambers. The charges against Lila Bennett are dropped. Full exoneration. Her name cleared in the eyes of the law. Outside, flashbulbs pop like fireworks. Lila stands on the courthouse steps, Riley beside her, Jake waiting by the car. The press shouts questions she doesn't answer. She just looks at the city, the skyline, the place that built her and broke her, and is about to watch her rise again. Her family destroyed itself. But Lila Bennett is still standing. 3 months after the trial, Lila Bennett stands in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, surrounded by cameras and curious onlookers. The necklace sits in a glass case behind her, $10 million in diamonds that nearly destroyed her life. She's donating it, all of it, to the museum, a permanent exhibit about family legacies and the price of power. The reporters shout questions. Why give it away? Don't you want to keep something from your family? Aren't you entitled to it? Lila faces the cameras with a smile that's equal parts grace and defiance. I'm just done with their games, she says simply. The media calls her a feminist icon, a symbol of breaking free from toxic family wealth, a modern-day rebel. But Lila doesn't care about the labels. She's not performing for anyone anymore. She signs the papers, the necklace becomes property of the museum, and with that signature, she severs the last tie to the Bennett fortune. Victor called 17 times last week. She hasn't answered once. The tech startup she's building with Jake operates out of a converted warehouse in Williamsburg. Exposed brick, industrial windows. 10 employees, most of them 20-somethings with brilliant ideas and nowhere else to go. It's called Phoenix Solutions, because some metaphors are too perfect to ignore. They develop cybersecurity software for small businesses, the kind of protection that only the wealthy could afford before. Lila handles the business side, the pitch meetings, the investor relations. Jake runs the tech, the coding, the systems that keep their clients safe. It's honest work, clean money, no offshore accounts or shady deals or empires built on manipulation. For the first time in her life, Lila sleeps through the night. But not every ghost stays buried. The letter arrives on a Tuesday. Plain envelope. No return address. Prison postmark from Rikers Island. Lila opens it standing in her apartment, the Brooklyn apartment she kept because it feels more like home than the penthouse ever did. Tara's handwriting is neat, almost cheerful, like she's writing a thank you note. Dear sister, it reads. Hope you're enjoying your little redemption arc. Very inspiring, very brave, but you should know something. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Prison gives me plenty of time to think, to plan, to remember everyone who put me here, and you're at the top of that list. See you soon. Love, Tara. Lila reads it twice, feels the chill run down her spine. Then she folds it carefully and puts it in a drawer. She's not naive enough to think Tara will let this go. But she's also not afraid anymore. Fear is what kept her trapped for 23 years. She's done being afraid. Victor's empire collapsed faster than anyone expected. Federal investigations, asset seizures, business partners fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. The Bennett name, once untouchable, is now synonymous with fraud and corruption. He's living in a modest apartment in Queens now. No Rolex, no penthouse, no power. He keeps calling. She keeps ignoring. Maybe someday she'll answer. Maybe someday she'll be ready to hear whatever explanation or apology he thinks will fix what he broke. But not today. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Some bridges deserve to stay burned. Riley Chen meets her for coffee on a Saturday afternoon. A small place in Park Slope, the kind with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. They sit by the window, watching people walk by with their dogs, and their shopping bags, and their normal, uncomplicated lives. I should hate you, Lila says, stirring sugar into her coffee. You lied to me from the start. Riley doesn't flinch. I know. But you fought for me anyway, even when it went against your family's plans, even when it cost you. Riley looks at her, really looks at her. I couldn't watch them destroy you. Not when you were the only one in that whole mess who didn't deserve it. Lila considers this, sips her coffee. It's hot and bitter and perfect. You fought for me, even if it was for your own reasons. That's more than most people did. They share a wry laugh, two women bonded by shared scars and the wreckage of family expectations. It's not quite friendship yet, but it could be. Someday. The sun sets over Brooklyn like a painting. Orange and pink bleeding into purple, the skyline silhouetted against the dying light. Lila stands on her apartment building's rooftop, hands in the pockets of her jacket, hair catching the wind. Jake's beside her, drinking a beer, surveying the city like they're planning to conquer it. Maybe they are. You think she'll actually come after you? He asks. Tara, when she gets out. Probably, Lila says. But I'll be ready. The city hums below them. 8 million people living their lives, chasing their dreams, fighting their own battles. Somewhere down there, Victor is eating dinner alone. Tara is counting days in a cell. Riley is probably working on her next case. And Lila Bennett is free. Not the kind of free that comes from money or privilege or family name. The kind that comes from walking through fire and coming out the other side carrying only what matters. Phoenix Solutions is growing. They just signed their 20th client. There's talk of expansion, of hiring more people, of making a real difference in how small businesses protect themselves. Lila has plans. Big ones. The kind that don't involve backstabbing or manipulation or destroying people to get ahead. She's building something real. Something hers. The Bennett name used to mean power, legacy, untouchable wealth built over generations. Now it means nothing, and somehow, that feels like winning. Lila turns to Jake. You think we can actually do this? Build something that lasts? He grins. With your brain and my skills, we're unstoppable. She laughs. It feels good, natural, like something she's been holding back for years and finally let go. The city lights start flickering on, one by one, until Brooklyn is glowing like a constellation. Lila takes a deep breath, lets the cold air fill her lungs, lets the moment settle into her bones. She's 23 years old, exonerated, broke by billionaire standards but richer than she's ever been. And she's not anyone's daughter anymore, not anyone's victim, not anyone's pawn. She's just Lila, and that's enough. Family tried to break me, she says quietly, more to herself than to Jake, but I built my own empire. The city stretches out before her, vast and alive and full of possibility. And for the first time in her life, Lila Bennett knows exactly who she is. If you found this story powerful, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what part resonated with you most. Have you ever had to walk away from family to find yourself? Share your story below. And remember, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is start over. Thanks for watching.